Welcome to Next Steps to Leadership with your host, Dr. Stephen Oliver. In each episode, we invite experts to share their passion and their leadership journey to help you in your next steps. You can find this show on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our website, hrcvision.com. Now here's the host of Next Steps to Leadership, Dr. Stephen Oliver.
Well, hello and welcome to my podcast. I'm Dr. Stephen Oliver, or known as Dr. O. Very glad to have you in taking the next steps to leadership. This podcast is dedicated to giving some tips and techniques to newer or mid-level managers and helping them in taking their next steps in their career. I invite different types of leaders to come and speak, company owners, executives, human resource management executives, professors, nurses, and consultants to just give their life story and talk a little bit about what they do and then offer some tips for you in your next steps. So it is with great pleasure that I have my next guest in this podcast. This is Dr. Sheila Robinson, or Dr. Sheila. Dr. Sheila is a friend and colleague of mine, and I'm so glad to have her. Dr. Robinson, or Dr. Sheila, is a celebrated publisher. She's an author on leadership. She runs her own company, her own organization, Diversity Women Media. She's nationally recognized, and she has multi-platform conferences and multi-platform types of media. Her goal is to help women, help men, and she's an expert on diversity and inclusion. And what she does is she takes her own life experiences and her trajectory on her career progression and brings those to organizations to go in and consult around diversity, equity, and inclusion. Dr. Sheila holds a doctorate of education from the University of Pennsylvania and combination of the Graduate School of Education and the Wharton School. This is a doctorate in education which combines adult learning and the business of learning. So welcome, Dr. Sheila. So glad to have you. How are you doing?
Oh, thank you, Dr. O. I'm wonderful. Just so pleased to be a part of this initiative. Thank you for the work that you do as well.
Well, really glad to have you. And I'm so excited to hear more about your organization and your journey to leadership. Do you mind just telling us at first a little bit about your organization and what you do and some of the things that are going on with you?
Yes, absolutely. Well, Diversity Woman Media is an organization. We've been around for about 19 years, and our core initiative is support the leadership and executive development of women of all races, cultures, and backgrounds. We want to make sure that we do our part in helping to close the horrendous leadership gap for women in the workplace, because we know that a more gender balanced workforce is a more economical growth opportunities. And additionally, after my focus on leadership and women for after the first decade, many of my clients started asking for more work, and we increased our offering to bring more equity, inclusion initiatives to our product offering as well, to help organizations transform their culture to be more inclusive. And so we do that. We go about that in a couple of ways. We host several conferences. We have publications, and we also provide leadership workshop webinars and virtual training.
Fantastic. That's great. I see a lot of your postings on LinkedIn, and the energy is just wonderful. Dr. Sheila, can you tell us what prompted you to go in this direction to create your own business? Just curious what was that pathway to get you to go in that direction?
Well, ironically, I never wanted to have a business. The
You
thought
know,
of it, I would never even take on the task of it.
right.
And I loved working. Started working when I was 14 years old. The independence of having your own income, the fascination with being engaged with customers and
Mhm.
serving them. So I wanted to work, and I happened to work for three after going to college. I happened to work for three corporations that all laid me out off, like three major corporations that people, when my parents were coming up, you would consider um, middle to high wealth. You were considered wealthy, and they were RJ Reynolds Tobacco Company, and that was when tobacco
Mhm.
was tobacco, and Nabisco, and Lorillard Tobacco Company, and then DuPont, the wonderful
Mhm.
DuPont out of Wilmington, Delaware, close to
Mhm.
Pennsylvania. And I had a global marketing role there. And literally, you would think after three layoffs, even changing industries, that the
Right.
writing was on the wall that you might be cut out to be an entrepreneur. But I was forced into going into the
Mhm.
direction of entrepreneurship, after one rejection after another, having the CEO of my organization refer me to companies. And I had this vision and this idea that there was not any business publications for women that I was attracted
Mhm.
to. You know, I love magazines, the world of magazines. I am so
Mhm.
glad that so many are still in print.
Right.
Um, because the colors pop off the pages, the articles are engaging, and I just started testing the waters, and that was my entry into entrepreneurship. I started a women's leadership magazine. And
That's
locally, it was local, just in my area. It got into the Barnes and Nobles and the Borders bookstores. And I'm dating myself because
right.
Borders has been out of business,
Right.
brick and mortar, for a while. But it was, and my first publication was called Career Network.
Mhm. Well, I really like this story that you're telling us. I too love magazines and I love newspapers, and there are some small little bookstores coming back, but I still like that. And that's a great story. Can you tell us a little bit about the content of what is in your publications and in your magazines?
Yes, ideas, solutions, and resources to help women advance in their career. I always try to see the glass half full. There's enough negative things going on. I am always teaching them how to respond to microaggressions and how to do it constructively, how to build confidence and courage to advocate for yourself, how to turn adversity into opportunity. And so, any guidance I can give them on topics such as that, and especially topics on getting a raise or a promotion and the
Mhm.
value of creating your board of advisors, mentors and sponsors, anything that I could do to lift women up and empower them, and give them the tools and resources to motivate them to continue their career trajectory.
Okay, that's fantastic. That's really great. And just the support you have for women, especially in jobs and like you said, raises, that's very tough. I think all of us, it's hard for us to ask for raises,
Yes.
but just helping in the workplace and career promotion is fantastic. Now you sponsor a lot of conferences. What are some of the conferences that you sponsor? Lead? What are the topics? What are some of those um, conferences and where are they held? If you could tell us a little bit about that.
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to share you a couple slides, a couple visuals. I am still a visual person.
Yes.
It's no wonder I love publications. So for the
Excellent.
past 19 years, our signature event is our Women's Leadership Conference. And our Women's Leadership Conference that is held at the Gaylord Resort in National Harbor. Um, and these are just some pictures I pulled together on Diversity Woman. This publication is given out at the summit, And then we have our inclusion publication as well. That magazine talks about transforming cultures to be more inclusive. Here's some snapshots of some scenes from some of our women's leadership conferences. As you can see, that we pride ourselves on having making sure that our work, that our speakers and our attendees mirror what our workplace should look like. And then our inclusion, our diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging conferences, we are always pulling in chief diversity officers, CHROs, and any business leader that is looking to be a part of transforming their organization to be more culturally inclusive. And we host that conference in Chicago. It's coming up July, and the end of July, we will have our annual Diversity, Equity, and Belonging Conference in Chicago. We also had a Business Leaders in Tech Conference May 2nd. And then our upcoming conference is coming up in the Women's Leadership Conferences, November 21st, 22nd, and at the Gaylord Resort. But that is just a couple of slides I wanted to share. This, as I was talking earlier about magazines, that there was not a magazine that I felt like spoke to my needs, and I started one. And ironically, I was featured in a special entrepreneur promo for that was about women entrepreneurs. And so this breaking down systems, I was selected in my region to be one of the extraordinary women featured in Forbes, Fortune, and Entrepreneur magazine. And I thought that was pretty cool to share with you.
Well, congratulations on that. That's fantastic. And those slides really showed a diversity of women. I did see a couple men, but diversity of women, and it really showcased what you do. Who are some of the guests that you invite to speak at the conferences, and what are some things that they talk about?
Yes. Well, I have a department in my organization that they are experts in the field of creating programming that is relevant to our audience and securing speakers. And they generally are going after thought leaders, authors, some corporate leaders that are actually doing the work that can speak to it. And so topics range from, you know, how organizations are, helping women with navigate barriers, to how work-life balance integration. So
Mhm.
depending on what conference it is, like for example, I am so super excited that our theme for our Women's Leadership Conference this year is Women Changing the Game, charting
Mhm.
our course to wealth, wellness, and purposeful leadership. And so the reason why is, if we truly, and my focus is on working with the women here and
Mhm.
equipping them with what they need. And so I am trying to shift mindsets to show women that they deserve to be compensated fairly, and to negotiate their salary because they deserve to have wealth. Also, shifting mindset of the importance of wellness and self-care, and
Mhm.
then talking about purposeful leadership. If you are not soaring in your career,
Mhm.
then you need to take a look at either one or two things that are happening. You're not doing work that you truly
Mhm.
enjoy, that's rewarding to you, that's aligned with your values, and maybe that company is not. But when you find an organization that is committed to your success,
Mhm.
and you
Yes.
have a role that's aligned with your values, you will soar. And so our theme is on that. So we're pulling in speakers that can speak to that theme. The CEO, managed director of Edward Jones, is one of our keynote speakers. We have City of Hope, doctors coming to speak to wealth and wellness. And we
Mhm.
also have all types of leadership experts to talk about purposeful leadership.
I love that, to help you soar. That's a really great metaphor, and it's to help people. Um, so one of the things I wanted to ask you about is a little bit about your consulting, both with individual women and with organizations, diversity and inclusion. So how do you go about doing that? How do you go about going into an organization and helping them out with diversity issues and equity and inclusion?
Yeah, so generally what we do, I have a division in my organization that seeks out companies that are looking for support, that bring in external partners. And really all corporations have external contractors, whether they're bringing somebody in to help with change management or bringing
Mhm,
someone in to redesign their organization.
mhm,
We just go around and look for companies that are looking for external partners for the offerings that we have. And that part of entrepreneurship is not always the easiest, because there
mhm,
are always challenges. There are disruptions that are happening
mhm,
outside. I call it when the windows of the world impact the
mhm.
walls of the workplace. you know,
Right.
it
Yeah.
used to be a time when my parents were in the workplace. You go to work and you're protected in there, and everything that goes on in that workplace,
Mhm,
nothing from outside the walls of your workplace penetrate what's going on in that company. Nowadays, that's not the case. You bring it all in. So everything, and that is why we call the many disruptions that are happening.
mhm,
Companies are looking for external partners to help them, because they don't focus. If they're selling cars,
mhm,
they're not experts in handling the disruptions that are happening outside their doors, and how to create unity and stop divisiveness from
mhm.
happening in the organization. So they're going out hiring people to come in and help them solve those kind of problems.
Yeah, that's great. Again, you have wonderful metaphors, windows of the world and the walls and doors of the organization. That's very powerful. And you're right, it's a different time today than when our parents were working, and even when we started out. Um,
Mhm.
I wanted to see, do you have any stories or examples of, say, maybe there was a woman um, who may not have known how to take your advice, or may not have had the confidence to take the advice, and how did you work with her and maybe turn her around? Because that happens when we have clients. Not
Mhm.
everybody takes our advice, and not everybody has the opportunity or strength to do what we're guiding them.
Yeah, I think that it is true. We always say that we have to meet our clients where
Hmm.
they are, and
Hmm.
sometimes where they are is often more challenging than what we want. But, sometimes a great place to start is to ask them, what do you want? What do you want? I use the
Hmm.
example or the metaphor of losing weight.
Hmm.
People say they want to lose weight. I want to, how much weight do you want to lose? I want to lose 10 pounds. Well, what are you going to prepare? Preparation is really, really key. How
Hmm.
can you prepare to accomplish your goal when and make sure that the preparation and the strategies you put in place to accomplish that goal is aligned with where you are, that it
Hmm.
fits with your workplace, that it fits with your personal life, that it fits with your mindset,
Hmm. Yes.
because you can coach someone all day, and they're I could do it, I could do it. I'm guilty of it myself.
Yes.
and
Yes.
and
Same
then
here.
when you shut down that Zoom computer, or they walk out of
Mhm.
your office, they're off into their own world. And that's when I try to stick accountability to it. Easy accountability. It could be something as simple as, okay, in an hour, text me or email me and let me know if you've done the first step. And that's, it is really so many distractions out there in our personal and professional life. And we have to make sure that we give our clients accountability tools to help them, because it's really not their fault that they have all these distractions. It just makes our work as coaches and
Mhm.
consultants and practitioners a little harder, but we want once they start seeing an inch of result, then you
Mhm.
can reel them on in.
Great advice. Preparation,
And
taking
accountability.
steps, and then accountability when we're distracted, when that beautiful cheesecake comes at us,
Yeah,
or whatever it is.
yeah, yeah.
So,
And preparation is stay away from cheesecake anywhere that serves cheesecake.
exactly. Put that away. Well, I wanted to kind of shift back again to diversity. Um, there are some challenges today in our society about diversity, equity, and inclusion courses, classes, initiatives, and companies. And I wanted to get your take on it since this is your business. And any thoughts about some of the challenges and speed bumps that are happening today?
Yes.
Mhm.
Well, again, another disruption. COVID was a
Right.
disruption. This is another disruption that is impacting every organization and every individual. And I do believe that again, you have to meet organizations where they are. And I think that the work will continue to be done. The work will, that's number one, the work will continue to be done, but the work has to be done where your client is needed. So
Mhm.
talk to customers and clients and see and speak to the problem and speak to the problem and not to language that's recognized as more divisive. And the thing about people, which is a big part of DEI, diversity, equity,
Mhm.
inclusion. It involves people. And when
Mhm.
it comes to people, the only person that you can change is yourself.
Right. Yes.
And you cannot change people. You
Mhm.
cannot change their mindsets. You cannot, I have my own philosophy of where we derived at this. And it's just it is just something that happened, another disruption. And so we have to um, just ride the waves through it
Mhm.
and know that the work will continue. And when
Mhm.
I say the work will continue, that means there is not an organization on and I know I believe on this planet that does not want to succeed.
Mhm.
Why
Right.
would they be in business? That's number one. Organizations want to succeed. Number two, organizations know that they cannot succeed without innovation, talent, and revenue. They
Mhm.
cannot, and so they're going to put the tools and resources in places to be successful. And I guess is no different than, I just talked about how do you talk to an individual. You use the same kind of tactics as
Mhm.
you would an individual with an organization. Meet them where they are, understand what goals are you trying to
Mhm.
accomplish, how can I help you prepare, and how can I align with your organization's mission, and help you have the outcomes that you need. And I think if we look at it as problems exist, companies need solutions to succeed, that makes our work less challenging.
Mhm. Really sound advice. And I like what you said is this is a disruption period. It will come and go. The work will go on. Companies want to succeed and meet them where they are. Really, really sound advice for diversity, equity, inclusion. And I agree with you. I believe it's going to continue. So, Dr. Sheila, I wanted to just ask you a quick question about yourself, about you.
Okay.
Um, you have a doctorate of education from a very prestigious, or university, University of Pennsylvania.
Oh,
So do I.
it was
what pro-
amazing.
what prompted you to go back and get your doctorate, and um, what was it like going back and getting your doctoral degree?
Well, on the heels of a divorce, I was, um, had anxiety of being a singles household income.
Hmm.
That's number one. And number two, I believe in practicing what you preach. And I am
Hmm.
telling my the women that I speak to and my clients, whether they're male and female, that we now live in an era of lifelong learning.
Exactly.
Lifelong learning. You no longer can go to school and get a degree and then get a job and work that job the rest of your life. It's lifelong learning. If you don't believe me, go buy a new cell phone,
Right.
go buy a new appliance. You
Mhm.
got to figure it out. You got to read, you got to understand, you got to know how operations. So innovation, technology, and the disruptions and distractions of the world, period, causes us to be long-time learners. So I wanted to practice what I preach. I wanted to be able to bring the greatest data and research and bring credibility to my work in my organization. And when I heard about Penn's Chief Learning Officer program, where, like you said earlier, that the School of Education, which is the Learning Institute, and the School of Business, which is business, corporate, bringing that together to create, it was magical. And it was a dream come true to get into that. It was fascinating. I met so many wonderful people like you, Dr. O. And, you know, and it also gave me, it gave my organization credibility. It gave me more data and research to provide my clients. And I remember when I thought about when I was going through the program, it was very challenging for me because academics is not my favorite place to be. I'm more on the creative marketing side and the people side, less books and studying. But I remember one of my friends that was a professor at a university, and she said, "Sheila, don't give up, keep going." She said, "Because you haven't not even touched touched the top of the benefit of having a PhD or EDD." She said, "Because the learning really starts after you get the doctorate."
Yes.
And I didn't understand what she was talking about. And this is true. It has been since I walked across that stage and started putting my learnings and credentials and research into the business market, it has been a fascinating journey. And it's truly in the top 5 of the greatest things that I've ever done in my life. It's also in the top 5 of the hardest things I ever done in my life as well.
Exactly. Well, I so agree with everything you said. I've experienced all those things, and lifelong learning is so powerful and important to leadership. And it's an honor to be an alumni with you and to know you and from that program. So thank you for that comment. Now, shifting back to your business, I know I'm shifting a lot, but
It's okay.
I understand you are on the 20th year of your organization, and now you have some sights and goals for the future, the next 20 years. What? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I will. And as I'm sharing about that, I like to bring up my last slide.
Yes. Okay. Great.
Okay.
Those are wonderful slides.
Okay. And so as you see in the bottom right hand corner, it says, and we're just getting started. And so in 2025, we will celebrate 20 years of being in business. My organization was founded in 2005, February of 2005. And I thought that by the time I reached the 20-year mark, that I would be saying, here's the end of an era. Look at all we have done. Look at the journey. Look at how many women we helped get promoted. Look at all the women that we have brought visibility to. If you look at the photos on the covers of those magazines, we have amplified the voices of women and brought visibility to women on publications that no other publication that exists would. That's something to be so proud of. But also, Dr. O, you know, when you get to a 20-year mark, everything behind you is now dated. You can't say, well,
Right.
we're celebrating what we've done the last 20 years, and it's not end of an era. It's the beginning of a new era. And so we have created a campaign that says, and we're just getting started. Here's to the next 20. And in the next 20, here's to the next 20, we're going to do some rebranding, some retweaking, some new initiatives, because you can't look the same. We refuse to look the same. We're going to be more innovative, more impactful. And I love this slide because it speaks
Mhm.
to what we have accomplished. We have rang the bell at NASDAQ, and to
Mhm.
see your publication in the middle of Times Square is amazing. We have rang the bell at the New York Stock Exchange. If you can see me in the middle
Mhm.
holding the gavel, I
Yes,
don't
you there.
know anything, so it's been a fascinating journey. You hear the excitement and passion in my voice, but
Mhm.
don't get me wrong, it has been a tough journey as
Right.
well. But the sharing the things that I am sharing with you, the successes, has made the work all worth it, and it's just been a rewarding experience.
And I was gonna say that, Dr. Sheila, the passion in your voice and your volume and the energy grew as you were talking about this, and it's so exciting, and I wish you so much success in that next 20 years. So kind of winding down, I wanted to see if there are some tips or techniques or some things that you can share with our audience about um, what can they do, especially the newer managers, leaders, mid managers. What can they do um, in diversity, equity, inclusion, and what are some things that they can be aware of and be mindful of?
Okay. So I like, the first thing I would like to share is I'm a big sports fan. And so
Mhm.
I was watching, I don't know how I ran across this YouTube with Coach Cara Lawson of Duke
Mhm.
University was
Uh-huh.
talking to her players during March Madness,
Mhm.
the WNBA. And it's something that philosophy, and it's just something, a video that I've been
Mhm.
sharing also in some of my coaching
Mhm.
initiatives. And what she says, that we go around waiting, saying, I can't wait until this doesn't happen, because we think life is
Mhm.
going to get easy.
Yes.
She was telling her players, we're thinking, oh, I can't wait until we get past this. It's going to be easier. I can't wait till I finish school. It's going to be easier. I can't wait till I get a job. It can't be easier. And we could say that as well. She even said, I can't wait till I get married. It get easier. How many times have we said, I can't wait till my
Mhm.
kids get out of preschool? Because I remember when my daughter was in daycare, it seems like now to me, she's 27 now,
Wow.
and that bill
Yeah.
still sticks out to me. That was the
Right.
most
Mhm.
expensive bill I think we ever paid for her in our 27 years. And she's in school to be a doctorate now. But it just seems like
Mhm.
I can't wait till she gets us out of daycare. I can't wait. And what she says is, it's never going to get easier.
Mhm.
It's never gonna get easier. It's always gonna get hard. But
Mhm.
what's gonna happen is we get better at doing hard. So we
Mhm.
get better at doing hard. And I love that, because that's true. It
Yes.
speaks to the resilience that we must have. We
Mhm.
must be resilient. And resilience doesn't mean that we don't feel what we're going through. It just means that we recover quickly and we keep
Mhm.
it moving, just like we did with COVID. We had the resilience. And so that's the first thing I want to say when we are looking at what the state of the economy, our
Mhm.
industry,
Mhm.
the some say the backlash on DEI, you know, harder. We just get better at doing
Mhm.
being harder, and keep
Yes.
moving and keep moving. I also say respond calmly and constructively,
Mhm.
communicate constructively, offer constructive suggestions or solutions to anything you're addressing. I believe deeply in empathy. Having
Mhm.
empathy,
Yes.
meeting people where they are, being empathetic, it's nothing in the world we could do to, like I said, not only change person, but change what they think. I remember, you could just kill yourself trying to let people say, and I'm thinking personally now, that that's not what happened. This is why it's like this.
Mhm.
There's nothing in the world you could do to convince someone that what they think is not true.
Mhm.
So the only thing that you could do is try to meet them where they are, have empathy where they are, and move on in the most constructive way, and hope and stay focused on the work that we are doing rather than the problem. And I think the last thing I would say is lead by example.
Mm-hmm.
Just lead
Yeah.
by example. I wrote a book called Lead by Example, and take care of yourself, be safe, be respectful to each other, and stay focused on what's in your lane and not what other people are doing.
Mhm. So very powerful words there, Dr. Sheila. Very powerful tips. Work hard. It's not going to get easy, so work hard.
Well,
Resilient.
get better at doing hard. We got to
Doing
get
hard. Yeah,
better.
I like that.
Got to get better at doing
Work
hard. That's
hard.
all. Hard just become easier for us.
Right.
Life is going to become easier, but hard becomes easier, and it
Yeah.
does. It does. It makes
Yeah.
us stronger.
And you said that in the 20 years that it's gone by, but you can't go back. And it was hard to get there. Now you have another 20 years ahead and hopefully more. And that's going to be tough too. So, but at least you have a
Well,
vision and empathy and resilience and lead by example. Wonderful tips and techniques. Well, I just can't thank you enough, Dr. Sheila, for coming to the podcast today. Dr. Sheila Robinson of Women's Media Enterprise, Women's Diversity Media Enterprise. And it's just been a pleasure and great to have you. And thank you for all your comments, and really appreciated you being here today.
you're very welcome.
Great.
Thank you.
So I wanted to thank all of the audience for tuning in today to Taking the Next Step in Leadership. I am Dr. Stephen Oliver, Dr. O, and if you need any assistance from my consultancy, HRC Vision, Learning, and Leadership, or a connection with Dr. Sheila, we'll be happy to put these together. So thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you.
You've been tuning into Next Steps to Leadership with your host, Dr. Stephen Oliver. You can find this show on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our website, hrcvision.com. Thank you for your positive feedback, comments, questions, and for sharing this show with others.